Happy Valentine's Day, Tanya.
Happy Valentine's Day, Anne Marie. Actually, I was just looking. I actually have Valentine's treats. These
Oh,
are for
look
the
at you.
kids. I know.
Oh, I have done none of
Well,
that.
actually, Erica gave them to me, but I'm going to pay them forward for my children.
Oh, well, I'm wearing a red sweater. That's
You
what I'm doing.
are. I didn't even theme it up.
I
Oh,
do not have any
I'll keep this
Valentine's Day
here.
treats.
People can't see
I
it anyway.
I was actually just thinking about it. I was like, everyone's coming home because of reading week is
Yeah.
falls around like in Family Day and Valentine's Day is
hmm
all the same weekend. And I thought, have I planned anything? Do I have any hearts to stick on people's doors? Or I have nothing.
Oh,
I don't. So I'm
I'm
like,
going to
better.
see Anne Juliet with my kids. That's their Valentine's gift.
That's a great
You know
plan.
what? I've just been meaning to do it, so I used it as a happy Valentine's to your mom. Let's do it on Family Day. So I'm
Actually, I
excited.
do have a solution. And one of my kids just sent me their team has a
Mm.
really great Lululemon connection, so they get
Oh.
50% off. And so I said, okay, everyone can pick something for Valentine's Day. So
Can I
I'm
be a
getting a new
Valentine?
backpack for my travels this spring.
Can you pick
Half
me
off.
something up? Like, I'm serious. We're talking about this offline.
Okay, okay, yes, I'll
I'm
send it
going
to you.
with you. I think it should be like a nice little gift for our travels that are
We
happening. We
get our
can get
own
matching.
backpacks. We get our
I
own.
have a
Okay.
backpack, so we don't
Uh,
need that one. I have it
okay.
already. Damn it. I paid full
Okay.
price.
Well, I'm gonna pay 50%.
It's a good
Yes.
backpack. It is a good
Yeah.
backpack. Okay.
So anyway, so there you go. Valentine's Day. What does it mean? It doesn't really mean, I don't know. It's it's a day of love. It's a day of, but we thought we might talk a little bit about it because we have been talking a lot about the women in our life and our friends in our life, and we were
Yes.
talking about let's talk about Galentine's Day or let's talk
hmm
about Valentine's Day, or do we completely left turn this and say,
Yes.
forget Valentine's Day, let's have an anti-Valentine's Day, and
Yes.
maybe we should actually talk about the topic that we've been touching on over how many episodes?
Since
Uh,
the beginning, Anne-Marie, when
yes.
we talk about left turns and one of a core left turn of mine.
Yes. What
Yes.
was your biggest left turn in the last 5 years?
Shall we say divorce? Dun dun dun. And it's funny that it's anti-Valentine's Day because I still believe in love,
Yeah.
clearly, but
And it might not be anti, it just means like
it
you
looks
chose
different.
yourself. You
Yes,
chose a
yes.
different path.
I did choose myself and it is a different path. And I think it's important to have the conversation. We've been thinking about how are we going to do this? And I was just like, let's just talk. Like, again, if we're sticking to left turns, that was a substantial left turn that I decided to take. Again, divorce or separation often happens
Yeah.
either you're the one who pulls the trigger or someone does it, and I don't mean to be flippant about it. It is not easy either way,
No.
but in my case it was a very intentional decision. And for those women out there who are listening, and I have a lot of people in my circle who have gone before me or since I've been divorced. When it is intentional, it's not an overnight thing. It takes a lot of consideration, and you are often moving your entire family through the process, including your ex-husband. In a lot of cases, someone needs to carry the weight of it. So I'm actually just on the other end of it. I feel like now I'm finally what, so when did that happen? 2022, I
No, it was
think. The separation.
no, it was earlier than that.
I don't think so. Like the official date.
Well, you would know more than me.
I
So,
know. So you know how, yeah, but I'm so terrible with dates. I
so
don't
here's
know.
what's an
It was like
interesting.
20, 25 minutes ago in my head.
Yeah,
But
well,
I
here's
believe
an
it
int
was
yeah.
it
It's an
was
it the
go
interesting
ahead.
connection between you and I, which we did not know. We both actually got married on the exact same day. Did not
True.
know each other. So June 16th, 2001. So
I think I'm right.
2001 was your 20th because it was our 20th as well.
Yeah. So it would have been
Maybe it was
2022.
22.
It absolutely was because
At 20th,
that
you
20
were
year is
you yeah that
important for
yes.
consideration. As I tell everyone, how many years have been married? 18. You might want to hold on a couple more years.
Why is it important?
So,
Like it's illegal important?
yeah, so here's the
I
thing.
didn't know
I am
that.
going to say things. I am not a lawyer. We were just talking. We're actually going to bring on a guest because there is the lawyer I used who was a client of ours,
Yeah,
actually,
was a
like back in
client.
the day. She is amazing. And I refer everyone I talk to, even if you're getting a moderator, to have at least, the very least, a conversation with her. So we're gonna have her on, right, Anne Marie?
Yeah, we're going
So
to have her on because in our worlds, there feels like there's people who are debating this. We have sent Christine many
many
referrals.
people referrals because I think it's important to lay it out. So my point is I'm going to talk loosely based on my lived experience, none of which should be taken as legal or financial
Yes,
advice in any way. But my
yes.
understanding is 20 years is an important time
Oh, I didn't know
because
that.
past 20 years, you two are tied for a lifetime, meaning legally or something in the law, when you think of spousal support, there is you've basically built this life for 20 years. So now, even if you separate
Hmm,
and divorce following 20, there is a responsibility and obligation for the rest of your lifetimes. Now, that's within negotiation. Like I didn't do that with mine, which was part of a negotiation tactic, but legally you there's an entitlement to that. So
interesting.
if you're making more than the other, then you need to just know that you will be like, you could potentially be paying spousal support for the rest of your life
After 20.
after 20. And I think it's retroactive. So I don't know that 18 makes, but I feel like I'm a black, like I like very plain understanding of things. So I'm like, if you're at like 18 and a half, 19 years, I was saying to my girlfriends, like, you haven't done anything yet. Like, might just want to just wait a little longer.
Not funny. We shouldn't be laughing. This is
Well,
not
of course
funny.
we're gonna laugh. Okay, anyone who knows me knows I'm gonna laugh my ass through this entire thing. Because if you're not laughing, you're crying about it. And like honestly, there was a lot of that too.
Yeah, there
That's
was, this is not, so you're taking, it sounds like we're taking it lightly. None of this was lightly. None of this
no.
is lightly. And I've been, as your business partner and very close
Since you've
friend
known
all
me,
the way
basically,
through
yeah,
all of this. So it
yeah,
was not
which
an easy
is
period of time, and you have a family and there's a ton of consideration. So you're not, you're kind of, you're not sounding flippant, but you're just like, yeah, I've been through it. But you now
I'm on
have,
the other side of
you
it, so
have
you can,
years of experience.
yeah,
And when you're in a room of middle-aged women, like this is mid-age is kind of our topic on this podcast. We're talking about
yes,
all the things. We've been talking about menopause. We've been talking about friendships. We've been talking about travel. We've been talking about sleep. We've been talking about all the things.
yeah.
And if you're in a long-term relationship, that is also impacted by all those things as well.
100%. And listen, I mean, we're just calling, there's a term now that's used, right? We were talking about this, gray divorce. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So that like there's stats now. Like I don't think anyone will be surprised by that. And of course, I don't have the specific stats, but there are stats that show. Oh, and also, okay, so if we back up, COVID is a huge factor, right?
Hmm.
I am among, if we ask Christine, like her business,
The lawyer.
well, the lawyer, sorry, the lawyer
Yeah.
Christine, she will, I believe she said to me, like business skyrocketed following COVID. COVID was a core driver in people who realized, okay, maybe this doesn't happen. And while I use 2022 as the official date of separation, there were several years and lots of things that led up to that point. But that is an important determining factor is the date in which the separation is declared. But this gray divorce is a real thing. Like we're all as women at middle age getting to a point where we realize kids are out of the house or not as dependent on you. We are having strong discussions and considerations about who am I? What is this new identity, this next chapter? And everything that maybe you were able to manage becomes less manageable.
Yeah.
And you're staring at your spouse in your face and going, is this what I want? Is this who I am? So I have a few thoughts around that. Um,
Can I ask you two questions before you do that?
you asked me
Or I
because
want to redefine because I just quickly looked up gray divorce because I'm
thank you.
like, surely we're not like gray divorce feels like grandma's to me.
Yeah, except that
But
I like dye my roots, so I could
well,
be gray.
I know that. Yeah, me too.
But yeah,
I
I
do.
feel like what's
But
the
my
age
point
group?
is I'm like
Yeah,
at what
yeah.
but here is different. Okay, it refers to the rising trends of couples over age 50, but
Okay.
sometimes 60 plus. So when I hear gray, I think senior
Yes,
citizens.
that's fair.
Let's clarify we are not senior citizens. Like we have not even reached like the Shoppers Drug Mart seniors yet, which is 55. So we're not there. I just want to clarify, we're still young at, not just young at heart, we're still young, Tanya. So, divorcing after long-term marriages, often referred to as silver splitters.
Ooh, kind of like that.
Silver
It'd
splitters.
be like silver splitters, and then you go to silver swingers.
There probably is.
I love a good from and to. I'm going now from a silver splitter to a silver
Silver.
swinger.
Oh, where's the Instagram handle? I'm sure
I
there's.
know.
Oh, it's on Reddit. And it says
Okay,
and
so
you know why it's driven? This is driven by increased longevity, which makes sense because the same way that people leave long-term careers to start businesses, it's the same kind of the same
absolutely.
people leave long-term
Yep.
relationships for themselves. There's still
Yep.
runway ahead.
Hmm.
They still have another 25, 40 years. Are you
Yeah.
going to spend another 25 years with someone you don't work well with anymore? Like
Hmm.
that's a tough. So driven by increased longevity, higher independence, that makes
Yep.
sense,
Hmm.
and lower stigma. And
Yeah.
these splits commonly involve complex issues like splitting or retirement funds, yes,
Yep.
dividing long-term assets, and
Yep.
navigating post-career financial security. So that's your 20
Yes,
years
those are
of,
huge. Those are all very huge. So again, I can only live through my lived experience. So I think maybe what I can do is talk through a little bit of that. So those of you
yes.
who don't care, you don't have to listen to this podcast. But those who are interested in some tea, you can
Yeah.
continue to listen
Yeah.
to
Whether
said
you just
podcast.
want the gossip or
Yeah.
you are
And
interested in for
honestly, it's
yourself.
really quite vanilla. Like I wish like there was no, marital
Yeah.
cheating or any like,
You were married
it's
to a good person.
I was married to a very good person. And I would
Yes.
say in a lot of cases, the things with me is I was married to my best friend. Like we were very compatible in a lot of ways. So which is why we had 25 years. I met him in university. So my approach to the ending of the marriage is maybe not necessarily is what I took away from it is not necessarily what he did. And that's typically if you are you've had time to process it. And I did a lot of work. Like, that I
Yeah.
met with a coach years before, and there were a lot of things going on kind of during COVID and post COVID. But I made sure that I did a lot of work to understand what I wanted out of life. Like, who am I
Yeah.
next?
You did.
Who is
You
this
looked
next
into who
version?
you wanted to
Who
be.
I wanted to be without having made a decision, kind of knowing that the way things were likely wasn't going to be the end goal. But I wasn't like, oh, I'm now going to leave my husband and blow up my family and then I'm going to figure it out. And
Yeah, you did it first.
I did it first. And that's kind of how I do things. Like even when I left the corporate job to start Left Turn with you, there was like a 2 year time frame on the point in which I kind of knew that I was probably going to do it. And I like to declare things in my head or to my close people
Yeah.
to hold me accountable. But I don't just then do it. Then I like put all the pieces together. So this was the same thing. So I encourage a lot of women, and I think that's what you have. All the conversations I have, people want to go for drinks with me. I always know it's because they want to leave their husband potentially. They're curious about renting because I currently rent and not own my home, which was a conscious decision, or it's business development. Like those are the three things. So I'm always
Yeah, they
curious.
want to
And
know, but they're all because you're not an impulsive person. You're very,
no,
very thoughtful. Like
yeah,
you're not impulsive. You're thoughtful. You
no,
you think about
but I'm
things.
decisive.
Oh, I was just about to say,
Yes,
once you make your mind up, there is zero backtrack.
no, zero.
But you are
And
thoughtful in that consideration,
thank
and
you.
then you're firm.
Yes. And the thoughtfulness will often happen internally. My close knit people, I may bring one or two people in. So sometimes people think I am impulsive, like my ex-husband. He's
Because
like,
he
yeah,
wasn't
he was
privileged to
part
be
of
part
some
of
of
the.
them. He may have not consciously realized that, but he does because there were a few years. So I tend to just do it in my head. So anyway, all of that to say that my discussion with a lot of people is like, okay, so that is an end result for sure. And there's a lot of, consequence. I wouldn't say consequence, but there's a lot of things that you need to consider. But who do you want to be? Who are you? And I think that's why it's happening so much for women at this age
Totally.
because they now have the capacity and they're having those conversations with their friends or in their head and that sort of thing. So I think that's a beautiful thing. But also I think it's important. So people call it now also uncoupling is like a
Yeah.
common term because
Well, it's Gwen.
Gwen,
Well,
who,
yeah.
yeah, Goop,
Yeah.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
But I do like the notion, and I went into this. So there was a book that I think you asked me to read. Remember Les Nessman? Or it wasn't Les Nessman. What was that book? There was a book about a man who he was gay and he's our age, an older gay gentleman. So he's talking about his love and what gay men who are older experience, who have lost a lot of friends and have lost because of all of the, AIDS through the years, etc. Like older gay individuals, men, have a different experience maybe than younger gay, as we all do. And his love story, he talked about these gay couples. And it was so beautiful because these individuals were looking at marriage and or commitment, because in a lot of cases they actually couldn't get legally married,
Yeah.
as contractual is the wrong way, but he talked about this one couple of his where every 10 years they would go for a beautiful dinner and they would talk about their 10 years together,
Yes.
and they would decide, you remember this, they would
Yes.
decide if they wanted to do another 5 or 10 years. And
Yeah.
that for some reason, so two key books was that book and what's her name?
What was that book? I forget.
I know.
Oh, and you read
I'll
Untamed. Is Untamed the
Less
other
is
one?
more. Untamed. Untamed was the coming to Jesus for
Untamed is
me.
like the unraveling, I think, of many
Yeah.
women's relationships.
So because there's two key themes. So one is, what is a beautiful life to you? That is Glennon Doyle. That's
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. Is what so that's the work I think women at our age start to do. Like, what's next? Who am I? And I would write in my book and did all of the things of what does a beautiful life look like for me. And if I go back to, and you know me, I don't write in books. So it happened very sporadically, but I did as part of my coaching, there was some discipline. And if I go
Yes.
back to it, it's exactly what I'm living now. It's incredible. But that's part of the work. And then this idea with, it's interesting to me, 25 years of any relationship can't be seen as a failure. And that was the
Yes, that's
message
what
of
I
this
kept
book.
saying. Yeah, that book. Yeah.
Yeah, that book was, and then this couple like was like, yes, I want to do 10 years. Then they came together, it was 20 years, and they decided quite amicably, like it was 20 years was beautiful, but we are, makes sense, entirely different people than the 20-year-old. I am a different person at 52 now than the 20-year-old,
Yeah.
21, 20 that met my ex-husband. So, and I had to manage a lot of that. I think now, even 3 years later, there's a lot more discussion on that was a beautiful thing, but I had to explain to a lot of people, including my parents, and it was always circled around the failure of the marriage. And I was like, I think we need to left turn this and
Yes.
reframe this. I mean, I was
Yeah.
saying that before Gwyneth Paltrow, and I'm sure other people before me were saying it, but I was very strong in because
Yeah.
my experience was different, that this is not a failure. How can 25 years I've built a beautiful life with
Yeah.
this man
Totally agree.
who, I have two amazing kids, um, who, and like, I just don't understand how that's a failure. And how is it unreasonable to think that what I want for the next 10 to 15 to 20 years is just not necessarily what I wanted before, and not for a lack of anybody. It's no one's fault. It's just I'm an entirely different human. And we will be happier separate because he is also an entirely different human. And I was very sure about that. That took me a few years to get to
Yeah,
that
you have
point.
been. Yeah.
And, therapy is a lovely thing. I say also to my friends who start to decide to go to couples therapy, which I did after I did my coaching, because I needed to be sure of what I wanted. And thought couples therapy, we didn't last long because I had already um, kind of decided. But I used couples therapy as a very safe place to have conversations. So I say this to all my friends when they're like, "Oh, we want to go to couples therapy, but what's the point?" Actually, what the point is to create a safe place that is guided, hopefully by a therapist you like and is good. Um, who can help you guys have open conversations. It allowed me to better explain to him the ending of the marriage in my mind, whether he heard it or not. And that was therapy wasn't for us to kind of figure it out and go on. It was a way to communicate
When
everything I
communication was
needed to
tough. Yeah.
communicate. So that's another like little tidbit that I think is important for people to like. I would encourage you do it. It may only be 4 or 5. My girlfriend called it something. Oh, I'll have to ask her. There's a term actually that's important that you tell your therapist. Like my goal of therapy is for communication and transition's the wrong word, but
Not
there's a term.
reconciliation. Probably some would
It's
go with a
not
goal of, yeah,
reconciliation, it's
people
something
would go with
else. Yeah.
reconciliation and
Yeah.
trying to,
Yeah.
you bring up some really interesting thought though, is like
Mm-hmm.
the failure piece, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we have been conditioned, everything has been, like, this is like your vows are, till death do you part.
Yes.
Your, the government has set up this contract with you as well
Yes.
around your taxes and all of this. Like there's benefits to having a marriage. I'm not anti-marriage. I'm married
Of course.
25 years
And
this
guess
year.
what? I'm not anti-marriage either. Like
But I
I'm
think
not.
it'll be really interesting to see if the next generation does marry or if they go into long-term relationships that have a little more flexibility. Like I forget that book. We're gonna have to remember. Was it
I
Less is
know.
More?
I think it's
But I
something like
remember
that.
that. And yeah, they would have, do you want to do another 5 years? Are we committed to this? Do you want to do another? Like that's actually an interesting way of looking at relationships and time.
I do think that that was the to me. Like and listen, I have a growth mindset, like you have a growth mindset. Like if it, but and it took me a lot to wrap my head because we are so ingrained to believe that you choose someone for the rest of your life. Like then every stupid I love the shows on blind Love is
Love is
Blind
Blind.
and stuff. And the conversations these people are having about like, oh, but if I pick someone, like it needs to be for the rest of my life, which I consider laughable now. It's again when I decided to start Left Turn with you. I always say it was like I was Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, and all of a sudden they unplugged me. And I was like,
Yes,
what?
all the unlearning.
All
So
the
many. Think
unlearning
of
that
all the meetings. I'd
happened.
be like,
Oh
why
my
are you
God.
doing it like that, Daniel?
Yeah,
Because we
why are
have
you
to.
at
I'm
your
like,
desk
no,
at
we don't.
8:30? Or like why are you at 8:30? Like you know you could at nine's okay. Like no one like why right? Unlearning of
Yes.
why are you doing it this
I've
way?
actually unplugged you so much that
Oh
that
my
it's
gosh.
like it's actually you're way more unplugged now than me.
Oh, now I'm like super unplugged because you see that. So that was my first unplugging. I mean, I would argue I probably had a bit of an unplugging in high school when I kind of took off
Yeah.
to
Separate
Vancouver and all
topic.
that. Separate topic. But through life, when you talk about pause, we coin it, which we did a long time before pause was left turn,
Yeah.
right? That was the first left turn. But in visually, if you want, it's like you get unplugged and you look at the world. And now once you've seen that, you cannot unsee it.
Yeah.
So when you wrap your head around and you unlearn this notion that I now talk to my kids very differently about relationships. It's it's unrealistic to expect that you are going to head into a relationship for the rest of your life. Good for you for those who do it, and I do believe it happens. Like, sure, that's the case. But with women now and our girls, if we think of our girls who can be and should be financially independent, emotionally independent, spiritually independent, physically independent. Like we can now get mortgages, buy homes. We can do what boys can do. There's still a little some challenges or whatever, but
Yeah.
so the role of the man and the role of the woman is completely changed. So we talk about equality, we can go down that path. But when you unlearn that, I'm going to go in because this person, I can see the next 10 years together. Or when they're younger, yeah, I want to start a family with that, but take the pressure off it. And I do think that that would open an entirely new dialogue, etc. So I am like you. I'm very curious. I think the expectation of our girls and girls going forward is going to be very different. Oh my gosh, I was just having the conversation with two women yesterday, and she was talking about her daughters, and she said, it's incredible. 6 months ago, they were talking about marrying their boyfriends, and then it's done. And I said, good for them. What was it? And they said, well, they started identifying red flags, which is the term. And there is an expectation with these girls, like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna
Mm,
settle for that. And I said, oh my gosh, whereas we were brought up to be like, well, there must be something wrong with us. We need to
mm,
change. We need to accommodate. Like that is our generation, right? Of women.
yeah,
We can do better. We can try better. That's a lot of the unlearning I have with my girlfriends who are on the fence as to what they do is like, why do we need to manage this? What? Because we were taught that. I don't think
yeah.
our girls will feel the same way.
I'm reading that new book by Elizabeth Gilbert. I know you've read it too,
Oh,
The Walk to the
yes.
River.
So good. Oh my
And she was
gosh.
talking in it she's talking about the benefits of marriage for men versus women. And because women are traditionally over givers, the
Yes.
stats are that men who are married live longer. Women who are married live shorter because they have overgived
Yep.
and they've just depleted their resources,
Yes.
depleted their hearts. They have just
Yes.
given, given, given.
Yes.
um, Women with children and are married live even less. So
Yes.
if a woman is married with no children, she still lives like shorter than if she was no children and no marriage. She lives the longest because that woman has had time to devote to herself
Yes.
and has not given away all of
Yes.
her energy. Essentially, it's an energy. What I believe when you're talking about this new generation of women, I think that they are going into more equal partnerships. And I also think our partnerships, honestly, we're pretty equal. Like your partnership is pretty equal. Mine is pretty equal, way more
Oh
equal
yeah,
than
that
our
was not the
parents.
complaints.
Way more equal than no.
Totally.
But
Totally.
but that's just one of the things I think this
Mm-hmm.
construct,
Mm-hmm.
though those stats are built on, I believe, unequal partnerships
Mm-hmm.
and an innate, I don't know, we've built into girls to give. And
Yeah, and we are nurturers. And listen, so this is like the other, I'm just going to share all of my highlights and my tidbits of what I share, but that led me into I think it's important for people to know, and I'm very clear about this. I'm very pro male too. Like I didn't leave a marriage and going, I mean, I did think about it for a minute. Like I actually was like, maybe I could just be a lesbian. And I don't know. And I think most women do. They're like, oh, maybe this is my
haven't tried
opportunity.
this.
Definitely. But I am not attracted to women. I tried real hard. I did. I was like, maybe I am. Maybe that could be the thing, but I'm not. I am attracted to men. And I'm actually a big fan of men. I am in a relationship now. So clearly I wouldn't be if I wasn't. There is definitely value that that companionship brings. I also am raising a boy. Like it's not about that at all. But I do think it's about how going forward you want, and listen, that's my perimenopause, and I've totally lost my train of thought. I should have written that down. But I believe it was along the lines of it is important as you kind of go forward and step into this new space that you look at it very much as a someone is wrong, less, that person is lesser than it is actually not about that at all. It is about women and who you are wanting to kind of rise to whatever that beautiful life is. There was another point and it'll come to me. I just
That's
can't
okay.
remember it.
I
I gotta
think
write them down.
we should talk about because I think we will see if Christine wants to come and have a
Yes,
chat
I think that
because
would be so
there
important.
are women in our circles, and as soon
Hmm.
as I find out somebody is thinking about this, I say, "Oh, you need to talk to Tanya. She could help you."
Yeah,
Um, or maybe we're sending them to Christine. I think you've gone through so many transitions
yeah,
from also overlapping. You've also had children leave for university, so you have
yes,
gone over some like major double dipping, like a
yes,
relationship um, ending,
yeah,
a child leaving for school, then you had another one you needed to get out, then you had to
yep,
move homes. Like
yes,
you had to, leave the family home, make
yep,
the financial decisions on whether you would
yep.
buy a place or rent a place.
Hmm.
You've had to figure out friendships, like which friendships kind of, how did those
Yeah, that
develop?
uncoupling is interesting too.
You've had to deal with family members. Your sister
Yes.
has gone through divorce at the exact same time.
Yeah, we did it at the same time.
So which was unplanned, obviously, just a weird
Unplanned,
coincidence.
it was just happen. And honestly, though, it does come down to it is important to have people in your circle. So here's the reality, like, not everyone's going to understand what you're going through, and that's okay. Like, there's no expectation to do that. But, and if you're blessed to have, lots of some good friends in your life, that's awesome. But some people will be able to relate more than others.
Yeah.
And I always say, with divorce, there becomes a great responsibility of the person who's gone through it to I work really hard not to put that onto other people. Like, I'm not going around going, you should totally get divorced. It's like the best thing since sliced bread.
No, I would say
Right?
you're
I'm
actually
not.
the opposite. I
I
think you're the
am the
opposite. I
opposite.
think you have a great perspective of
Yeah.
saying, um, because I've been in many groups with you where people are talking and
Hmm.
I feel like you're categorizing in your head the
Hmm.
problems, like the
Yeah.
ones, because ultimately I think you're an advocate of women becoming the best people they can be.
Yes.
And you can be the best person you can be inside of a relationship.
Yeah.
You don't have to leave that relationship to find yourself. You can find yourself within that relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're mostly seeing middle-aged women doing. They're mostly saying, okay, so how can I be better? But then if they can't be better inside that relationship, then they're making that decision or he's making that decision.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think that 100%, that's it. And listen, when you go through it again, so it's important to find people who have either gone through it or are. I was lucky to have my sister in a way because we were able to just together kind of help ourselves through it. So that was amazing. But in a lot of cases, it is important to talk to people who've gone through it. And I'm hoping they approach it the same way I do. And it's exactly the way, because I'm on the other side of it, and same with, I would think Alana would feel the same way. There's some key learnings that I want to share forward. So I have a clear understanding now as to why the marriage ultimately ended, even better than when I called it, which was even better than the 2 years prior of me thinking about it. Like, if you're a growth mindset person, you've realized. And I think it's important for people to talk to someone who's going to say, listen, if you're pissed off because he's leaving, like, of course you're frustrated about all of the things, and vice versa, he's frustrated with you. Like, I'm on the other side with a man who is wonderful. The grass though isn't greener. Like, I drive him nuts, he drives me nuts. Like, luckily he lives in Ireland. Like, that saves us
you're just
because
trading one 50-year-old for another 50-year-old.
basically, and vice versa. Like, we talk and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm totally like your ex-wife because that's how I feel. Like, there's commonalities, like, literally, like, it is. But what you then, so for me, it's the depth of the vulnerability. So this is kind of my soapbox for 5 seconds, because I do think this is oh so important for women our age, because I think we have all been conditioned to be like, everything's fine, it's fine. I'm just going to fix it. It's fine. And I've done that. But there are actual people, and I have like one girlfriend, and she has this relationship with her husband. And I was like, oh my God, this is the relationship you have. And she goes, yeah, didn't you? And I'm like, no. Where you can actually be your whole self. You can be your worst self. You can communicate and say, this is really pissing me off. Like, we need to work through this. Like, whether that's screaming, whether that's throwing things, whether that's whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the point is you feel safe to be able to have that conversation with that person, and that other person shows some signs of understanding and is
Yeah.
trying to do better. So that's how I say it in its basic sense. And people are like,
Versus the fine dealing with nothing. When you say fine, you mean
surface
like
level.
surface
So,
level,
yeah,
ignore it,
yeah,
sweep it under the
yeah.
rug, let's
So
move on.
I'm gonna quote my Irish boyfriend who says, so my relationship with my ex was deep as a puddle, meaning, I love it. Imagine an Irish accent saying that. Deep as a poodle, however they say it. But in that we never, and it wasn't anyone's fault. I came up from a childhood where I was learned, no one's fault again, to just not express my feelings because I never felt safe to do that. Um, and I coupled with someone who was unable to do the same. So we were compatible and we had like the best times and we traveled and went to concerts and did all of those things. We had compatibility in building a life and career and all of those things. But emotionally, we just never dealt with our stuff. I was just like, it's fine. You're like that. I'm just going to work around it. And I'm sure he did the same. So I say that to everyone. If you have at least that, I promise you that if you're looking for like another relationship, that's the end goal. Like that is the vulnerability. It's what I tell my kids now. It's they're still going to leave their socks on the floor and they're going to do all of those things and they may not, may forget your birthday and all of those things. That doesn't matter. It's that you're able to actually have a conversation with someone and say, I'm feeling very hurt right now, or sad right now, or pissed off right now. And that's also women our age. We need to learn that it's okay to say that. So in my current relationship, that's hard for me. I still go to, I'm fine. And luckily, I have an empath who's like, are you fine? Really? And then he pisses me off because I don't want him to ask that I'm fine because I don't want to talk about it. But that type of relationship, if you have that with your current partner, I believe you're doing 75% better than the rest of us. And people are like, really? Like, yeah, because I didn't have that. Why people
And
cheat?
yeah,
Because they don't have that. Not the cheating's not the issue. And no one cheated. But I'm just
yeah,
saying that's at the core, I believe,
yeah.
relationship success.
So it's like mutual respect and appreciation and trying to
It's
fill the
safety.
emotional. Yeah,
It's actually safety. I've actually even, and I think that's what we all look for, like our childhood trauma that us 50-year-olds are dealing with, understanding why we respond the way we do is because for some reason we didn't feel safe before. And when I say safe, I don't mean like the extreme of my life is in danger. I mean, we didn't feel safe enough to be able to emote.
yeah, emotionally vulnerable. You didn't feel like
Yeah.
it was welcomed
I believe
or
that is probably status quo for most people, women within our generation.
yeah, I would
Like,
agree. Yeah,
and then men also don't feel like they grew up in the same households we did, right? So they're, so you have two people who one can't emote and the other doesn't know what to ask because they don't know how to deal with someone who can emote. Or have been told like don't emote as a male. That's not manly. That's not. Oh, this was my point. Ha! I believe strongly that women can be vulnerable and should be in their feminine self. So this is I'm in my masculine self, most women our age, for in all aspects of our life, if you think about it. That's why we don't need to get married anymore. I
and
can
by masculine self, define what you think of that because I think I know what you mean, but explain
That's a
to
really good point. And some people may argue, like, why is that masculine? Can't it
yes,
be
but
gender
it
neutral? But
yes,
if you categorize things, the typical masculinity, if you think about um, the taking control of certain
and the
things,
leadership
the
and the plan,
leadership,
yeah,
etc. So I think why things are falling down is actually there is no such thing as masculine and feminine really anymore. But I like the notion of it because I'm a kick-ass female leader in all aspects of my life, but I also want to be a bit of a princess. I do. I want to be taken care of. I think both can be
yeah,
true. And the problem and the challenge for women our age is we feel like, and I think the idea of femininity or, being a feminist is
yeah,
that we believe in giving that up, and that's not the case. So I believe we show up. So I'm just going to use masculine and feminine in
yeah,
the best
yeah,
way.
yeah,
In my masculine way, every day, I'm running my own house,
yeah,
I'm running a business, I'm taking care of the kids, and that. So what I need when I am now put myself in my feminine self is I just need someone to take the lead. I want
yeah,
someone to take care of me. That doesn't mean I give up the other part. And I believe that is what most women and all women should achieve
yeah,
and 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 be comfortable with that you can have both and not one is not less than the other. But I
yeah.
do think that that's the biggest challenge now for men and women. So I guess what was that book? Men Are for Venus. Men are from
women from
Mars,
Mars or women are from
men
Venus.
from Venus.
That's like
I
age
never
old,
actually
old,
read
old
that book, but I wonder if that would be an entirely different book
in
now.
today's world.
Yeah, in today's world.
Probably, probably, but also not. Because
Right.
essentially it's saying we have different needs and expectations.
Yeah.
Now the needs and expectations may have shifted, but we're still different.
Yeah. But I wonder if it's, I guess in my head, it's men and women, which is masculine and female. I get it. But if there was different categories, I believe those two categories do exist, but I don't know if it's if you're a female, therefore you sit in the feminine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't probably that's probably
Anyway,
the
it
split.
was more of a sidebar. I was like,
So if we were having people on, another thing we were talking about was like the transition. So
yeah,
like how did you help? Like I know the answer because I've been with you along the way, but other people don't.
yeah,
Like how did you make some of the big decisions like the
right,
where to live,
right.
how like what did you need for your children?
Yeah,
Like you've got grown children, what kind of home do you need to create
yeah,
for them?
yeah,
How was I going to live my life
yeah.
like some of those big choices, I'm sure those are part of the meetings that people want when they chat with you and have questions.
Yeah, they do. And I think more so people are just curious what my path was, but like obviously everyone has different requirements based on where they are in their life.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, yes, you need a really good lawyer. So Christine we're gonna have her on and I will just call me. I will give you her number. Christine Marchetti, she's amazing. You need a really good lawyer. And
And you
but
need the lawyer for the separation, not just for the divorce, right? That seems to be
yeah.
a misconception.
Yeah, it's really the separation agreement is the biggie. The divorce is just a cash grab from the government and paperwork.
Yeah,
Like,
but I think people that don't know that.
yeah,
Like I
they
don't
do.
think I knew that until we
Right.
did work with Christine and I was like, "Oh,
Yes.
this is
Yes.
inverted
Yeah.
to what you think."
Yeah.
So if you don't get the
So,
legal done early, there's problems.
yeah, and you have to. So people use the term divorce. I use separation actually quite specifically, but let's just use divorce. But there's two phases. There's the separation part. Once you get the agreement and the legal stuff signed, and I'll go through that. And this is the non-legal way of saying it. Then you got to wait a year and then you can be divorced. But divorce is literally based on the separation agreement. And it's just you pay 2 grand or 1,500 or whatever it is. You got to pay a lawyer again to do it. And most people, Christine's advice to me is like, really, you don't need to do it unless you're gonna planning on getting married again. Like it literally is, it doesn't matter, but a lot of people like to do it because they want full closure. That's why they're like, I just want to be fully untethered. Regardless, the big part and what takes forever is the development of the separation agreement. So for most women now, hopefully this is true for you, but a lot of us, it's not, is your financial situation. So in my case, while I was married to an accountant, I took care of all financial situations in the household. I knew exactly where everything was. I knew what a budget was to run the household. I just took care of all of that. So I was in a good situation to be able to have a sense of how we were doing financially. And you have to think about what you need to live going
Yeah.
forward. Now that is done by the lawyers, and literally it's an equation. So it's how much do you make? How much does he make or whatever? How much both of you make and you just equate it. So it's math. Basically, if someone makes 200 and someone makes 100, you both need to make 150 at the end of the day. Does that make sense? Like that's as
Yep.
simple as that's the right math, right? So but you need to have an appreciation of what it takes to run the household and what the kids are going to need. So I was fortunate that my kids were older when it happened. So I knew they were out of the house and we had our ESPs and that was going to work out. But if you obviously have younger children, you need to consider that child support and all of that comes into
Yeah.
play. But that's the first thing I say to anyone who calls me is do you have access to all the financial situation? And hopefully the answer is yes. And in some cases it's no. And through the process they have to disclose everything. And in some cases it's happened to some of people I know where things come up and there's credit cards here, there, and everywhere. But that's like worst case scenario. You hope that
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Generally, I think most people know. And then you have to divide assets and do all of that stuff. So financial, not surprising, is a big reason why people do not get
Yeah.
divorced.
Well, it's expensive.
It's flipping expensive. So when I did all of that, so that was once you get through the stigma of actually I'm divorcing and why did your marriage fail? You get past all of that. And I don't know if that happens at I like to think that people don't automatically get there and we're understanding that 25 years of a marriage is something to be celebrated
It totally is. Yeah.
versus and that was my response to everyone. I was like, I actually am really proud of and I have no regrets over what those 25 years. I just need and want something different. So then you have to make a decision on what does life look like? And hopefully you've done some of that before, because here's the thing, you asked me the question, what drives some of those decisions, where you live, etc. So this, you were the person who helped me with this. In most cases, Anne
Yay.
Marie is, and she likes that validation. So I'm going to give it to her.
There's
But
been a
it's
few things
very
you've said.
true.
I'm pretty sure I've sent you those quotes or those things, but
Yes.
if
And
they helped, they helped.
I
That's
know. So
great.
I'm going to share this, and I know we only have 5 minutes left, but there isn't like really much else we need to do. 5 minutes
No.
because I have another meeting. But the big one is it's really important for you then to make decisions as to what life is going to look like and where you're going to live for yourself. Now, if your children are young, that is very hard to do. It's
Yeah.
harder to do. So I take that when I had one going into uni and the other was like literally 2 years out. And I was able to negotiate kind of staying in the matrimonial home, which happens in most cases. If you have younger kids, there's an opportunity. Someone needs to stay until you decide the separation happens. Ours happened really quickly compared to others. But if it takes a year or two, typically someone's staying in the matrimonial home and then you're selling the house after. But you have to think about that. So we went on a walk and I was struggling because my one kid in particular doesn't love change and was imagining my life to be very similar to what he had for many years, which would be a large home that fits everybody that I had to manage and I was buying it and that would be it. And I was like, I don't want any of that. I I just I just want a simple life. So my vision of a beautiful life was scaling it down to its smallest, simplest state. I want to be able to, I always said this to you. It's like I had a dream once that I was just shutting a door and turning the key, shutting the door and taking off. So shockingly, I'm flying all over the place. I don't want to take care of a home.
Yeah.
I'm also not good at it. I don't know where light bulbs are. I don't care. If something's broken, I need a man that's my feminine side, who's just going to fix it. And I don't want to know how you fixed
Yeah.
it. I don't want you to ask me where anything is. That is just what you need to take care of.
Yeah. Because you came from your parents' house to living with him.
Yes.
You've never lived on
Yes.
your
And
own.
he was excellent at that. Like, I will props to that man. You asked him something, he flippin' did it immediately. He was great. And he figured it all out and he was great. So I was like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I told you there was like literally 4 months of me changing in my closet without a changed light bulb because I
Yes.
just didn't know how, I didn't want, it's not, I am capable. I just don't want to have to do it. So I have this
You're
thing.
not a handy, that's not your thing.
It's not my
Right.
thing and I don't care. And if I
And
don't
you're
care
not
about
like a
it,
decorator
nope,
home. You're
nope,
not that. You're not a Martha Stewart type. Like that's not your like you take pride in your home, but that's not how you spend your
100%.
time.
Yeah.
Like you're not a gardener. You're not a that's not
No.
who you are.
It's absolutely not who I am. So the big thing with that is so you said then why are you doing that? Like why are you so because my ex was building that life, he was
He
talking
wanted
to
the
the
next
kids
house.
about a
Yeah.
big house and he wanted to replace, and a lot of men do. I've learned this through my dating experience, that most men just want to recreate what they had, whereas I look at it entirely differently. I'm like, this is my opportunity to flip it on its head and do things entirely differently. So you were like, you need to have this conversation. And I sat my one child down because my other one's a different being and I didn't need to have that conversation, maybe in a different degree. And it had to be very clear to say, so life is not going to look the same, and that's okay. And you have a home with me, and but this is what I need to do for me. And you are still loved, and you are still safe, and you will have that with your dad if that is what you want, but you will not have that with me. It will look different. And it was a great conversation and he understood it. I mean, he was older too, so he could understand it. And yes, he lives with his dad. Like he's in uni, but when he's not. And I also had to be okay with that. Like
Yeah.
we're literally 5 minutes away. I see him all the time. It's not, but I had to let go of that as a failure. And I know people when I say, "Oh, but is doesn't your son, don't they come home?" I'm like, one does, but the other doesn't. And I can see people are like, oh, there must be a story there. No, literally the T is that is he wanted and needed more space. Like he wanted that structure and his dad could give that to him. And I I didn't want to have a big empty house and be pissed off at my kids because they were never home. And I made all these different changes. And now look, I'm alone by
You were
myself.
looking at places that had two bedrooms versus
Yes.
three. You've wound
Yes.
up with a place with three, but it allowed you
Yes.
to have the flexibility to say, okay, I'm only looking for two bedrooms.
Yes.
And that allowed you to look in way different areas, way different circumstances.
Yes.
And then you have wound up with an extra bedroom.
I have.
He could sleep there anytime he wants, but he
He
lives.
could. It's not that he doesn't have a space, but he has just it was more of a decide and it also gave him permission to be okay and not feel also the kids feel they need to
Obligated.
be
Yeah.
obligated. I was like, no, it's totally okay, buddy. I'm cool with it. And guess what?
Yeah.
We're going to go on vacations together and we're going to do those things. And if you need a down payment, that's what you said. The legacy is not creating the house he had before. The legacy can look different. I was like, my
Yes, that was
legacy,
the term. That
that
was the
was the
term.
term, is financially the freedom. So I rent. That's the point. And
Yeah.
it's not that the money is invested in a different way so that I have the flexibility to buy if I choose to once I figure out where the hell my kids are. Like, why would I buy a house? That doesn't make sense to me. Why would I buy a house so immediately when I have no idea what life is going to look like? It gives me the flexibility. It's gaining, we're getting a little money over there, and then I'll make the decision later. And I can change my mind. Ladies, you could change your mind too. That's okay. But
Yeah.
it allowed the kids to figure that out. So
And
that
you
is my other one.
downsized to a three-bedroom townhouse, but remember we did look at all the apartments and you were
Oh
almost into
yeah.
a two-bedroom apartment, but are you glad you're not in an apartment? Like would that have been
Yes.
too fast of
That
a
would have been where do you put, and I downsized a lot of stuff. Like
yeah,
I
you
have
did.
funny stories, like my ex kept everything. I was like, get away. Like I took a couple pieces of furniture and that was it. No, I mean, I feel I downsized a lot, but to get into that might be my next phase ultimately.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's a biggie. That would have been a stretch. But that's how I work. I'm like, I'm gonna just flip it entirely on its head. But
Yes, and for anyone who
luckily
then moved her and then she brought all the biggest Costco sizes of everything and I was like, where do you think you're
the
going?
downsizing of the fridge, in fact, and the storage for food alone, I'm
That
learning to
was
cook
a
for
well,
one person.
yeah, so many things.
Um,
But I'm
anyways,
very proud of you. You've gone through
thank
massive
you.
transitions in the last 4 years from like
Thank you.
mental plant decisions and then the execution of that.
Yeah.
And I say to our team often, we don't give you enough credit because you're like the duck with like the feet going crazy underneath. Like looks all
Yeah.
calm on the top, but there's a ton of stuff going on that you don't see.
Yeah.
And you've been able to manage that and the emotions of that for yourself, but also for your family and
Mhm.
manage, the ex-husband who is a good person, who is a good person.
It's the emotional. Everyone's going through it, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you have to, someone is responsible. How I looked at it is if it's my responsibility to end the marriage, like if I've decided to end the marriage, then it's my responsibility to try and get within reason boundaries. Like, he needs to figure his shit out. I wasn't doing that. But I do have a level of responsibility to get these people I care about through this to a
Yes.
degree. So that's what people understand. And it's funny, I was just talking to someone, and like the first year after, I like literally was on the couch watching Netflix for a year. Like I couldn't even, I think you also have to give yourself time to heal. Because if you're bringing everyone forward, don't underestimate kind of the weight of that. So like the first year was I was happy to just Netflix and
Well, because it was
crash.
exhausting for you.
It was
You had
exhausting.
everything also became,
Yeah.
you had to take on a whole bunch of responsibilities that you had never done.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
many things on your own
Yes.
that you had
Yes.
not done. And that was
And
just,
running a business at the same time and making sure like there's responsibilities beyond, life continues even as you're going through this. My sister
yeah,
talks about it all the time. Like that's where we came together. It's like she's running it, and that's our income. Like that is important. It was
yeah,
always important, but it becomes even more important in that moment.
yeah,
You're so yeah, it's also give yourself a pass to just chill when you can breathe for once. So, and I think I'm still in that phase. But anyway, I know we need to shut this down because I've been talking long enough. But if anybody wants to chat more, you let me know. But we'll have other guests on to further and deepen some of these conversations, right?
yeah. Well,
Okay.
I love you. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy, oh, yes, circle back. I still believe in Cupid.
You do. You
I
do.
do.
You do. And you're, for everyone, you can all see why this is such a special friend of mine.
Oh,
Anyway,
I
very
love you
strong
too.
woman.
And you helped me
Still
through a
wants to
lot
be
of
put
it
in
too.
group.
You
Well,
help me.
it's
You
yeah,
need your people.
yeah, you need to listen and
Yes.
also for friends just to listen.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I have some good ones.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
Love
Good
you.
chat.
Good chat.